single Mondays to Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 9:50 a.m. We kickstart off the show with pretty much a brief of a recap in regards to the news that was making headlines from previous bulletins here on Business Today. But of course, as we kickstart off the new week, you get to realize there's lots of business opportunities that are rising, and you should be able to tap in quite a number of those particular ones if you are a dedicated business personality. And as we grow and as we continue to do so, you are reminded that yes, you can be part of this ever-evolving business opportunity and the ever-evolving world of business. And with this particular one, we look at the National Chamber of Commerce, which has highlighted some key findings on key business opportunities within the country, and one of which is rotating around networking, because networking does help a business person expand their business ventures. And not only that, there is also assurance of the market in regards to the kind of goods that Uganda does produce, not only for the market within the country, but also for the market within the East African Community bloc and on the African continent as well, as we look forward to trading under the African Continental Free Trade Area. If the hopes are high, it can be very realistic by 2023. But as we speak now, with this particular update coming in from the Uganda National Chamber of Commerce, highlighting more on business opportunities and why networking is very important and crucial for the expansion of any business venture. Let's have it.
In the private sector in general, to open up opportunities for doing business. This engagement tonight is in honor of the chairman of Commonwealth Business Enterprises that represents the 57 Commonwealth member countries. His background also business. Of course, he's been a minister also in United Kingdom. So this is an opportunity to be able to network through his office for our people to do business beyond Uganda and the whole Commonwealth. So that one of the services we provide is networking and opening opportunities for business people. Yeah. Well, it is a process. Currently, Uganda is working with the strategy. But as you might have seen the press, that the Chamber of Commerce Industry working with UNDP has been actually holding forums with business people to synthesize the opportunities within the African continent. I don't know if you follow, but we are working, and Uganda government as a country is going to have the strategy soon, but we are working. We have over actually 10,000 registered members, and what happens is that I think over 10,000. Whenever you register in the Chamber of Commerce, you're supposed to renew every year. But if you don't renew, you remain our member, because we still have you in the data. And like it's not mandatory. So, but we encourage people to renew so that they can get opportunities. For example, we don't have any data, are not invited this from, for example. And networking in business is very, very important. So we have over 10,000 members, and we encourage people to join the Chamber of Commerce, because all over the world, Chambers of Commerce are the focal institutions for businesses, for business information. Networking, you see, they have members as well across the Commonwealth member countries. And our role is to engage with them, to network with them, to find out whether they're interested in investing in Uganda and vice versa, and what we can do. In this room, we only invited up to 100 people, because one, it was a short notice. The Lord Marad confirmed almost on the last hour, but even then, he only had today to be able to host him. And the only room could actually get, you could have had more people, is this. All these other rooms are taken, as you might have seen. But it's not about the numbers. It's about who and what they want to do.
There is an assurance of every market of Ugandan goods produced. The only thing, we don't have enough to satisfy the market that is required by some of our products. But we have a reasonable amount of coffee, tea. Those are the main products that Uganda has that you can talk for, and which have a market everywhere in the world. Anybody wants coffee from Uganda. You know, this is a question of demand and supply, or the liking of the customer. I'm always saying to people that Uganda's Arabica coffee is something which is known and established. And therefore, we take it to the market where we can get utmost money in terms of price. If you get a good price from the, especially the one where you have added value, you also will get a good price for our farmer, who is more important than for the economy at large. As you might have heard, the existing Chamber of Commerce has made a stride ahead of having a proper Chamber of Commerce. But at the moment, as a ministry, we are working on having a stronger body on the basis of what is happening of Madame Chigongo, which she has built up, actually, to be fair. At the beginning, there were a couple of a dozen people with her. But now you can see even the people from the market, from where. But we are trying to build up a strong Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It incorporates everybody. Even that group of Muslim Chamber of Commerce will be part and parcel of the national, as an association, part and parcel of the Chamber of Commerce of Uganda. The National Chamber of Commerce, which is whole private sector. For instance, before, it was only people were recognized were manufacturers. The Manufacturers Association was the biggest organization here handling everything. But you have to know that the trader downtown, the casitas, the taxi drivers, the grain council, the who, are all private sector people who contribute to this economy. So as well as what we have talked about of the Muslim Chamber of Commerce and Industry. If they have the Sharia one, it will also be incorporated in the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
All right, as you can definitely see, according to Honorable Francis Mwembesa, who is the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, apparently putting it out there that, well, when you look at some of particular agriculture products, for example, coffee, we've got some good coffee. That means if we are to look at expanding and trying to sell out the market, then we have the right path, or we do have the right products that can definitely do so, or that can help us drive that narrative out of this country. But of course, as you can definitely see, the expectations of our market expanding not just being talked about, but they are very much realistic. I've got 20 minutes of 7 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, and now let's get to Bariji. Andrew, let's get this morning kick-started off with the traffic updates. It is quite busy lately when you look at the traffic flow within Kampala, and this is especially because you get to realize it's a new year, and the schools resumed. That means most of the parents hit the road as early as 6 a.m. To first of all drop their children, all their respective students and pupils to school before they actually rush to work to beat the 7:38 a.m. Time check for your work or check-in time at work. And that is exactly what you definitely get to realize as to why sometimes the traffic these days, especially from Monday to Friday, is really tight from as early as 6 a.m. up to around 9 a.m. It is only on Saturday when the traffic starts heating up at around 8 and 8, 9, 10 respectively. Now let's get into the traffic updates this morning to see which route does look busy and which route does seem to be a bit slower for the moment. Bariji Andrew is at Ginger Road, as you can see, and he's definitely going to be taking us through how the vehicles are moving currently.
All right, thank you very much, Jerome, and very good morning, dear viewers. I'm Andrew Barige, and today we are just right here at the Ginger Road Junction, the traffic lights, observing the traffic atmosphere. But generally, before I get further into the details of the whole traffic congestion, it's all dependent on which route you're actually using, coming to connect to town or heading to any other destination as you're moving to execute what you ought to execute. Certain routes, it's quite a little fair, and some other routes, it's a bit much more harder for you to penetrate through. Now, starting with Access Road, just on my back, as you can observe, it's of course heading to the industrial areas, 6th Street, 7th Street, 8th Street. It's quite a very, very thick congestion. And probably if you're coming from the areas of Bugolobi, you're coming from Nakawa, and probably you plan to head that side, connect rather to Chibuli, or even heading to the industrial area, it might be a little bit not much more easy for you to access in time. It's been a little bit congested ever since we came on air. As I've been observing, there has been a very slow movement of the vehicles heading that side. Quite so many vehicles use that route, looking at huge trucks, taxis, and also looking at the private vehicles. So that explains why we're able to see that bit of congestion. And also the fact that the road itself, the access road, has lots of potholes on the roundabout, as you're heading to the Mukwano roundabout. Some of them contribute to the slowness of these vehicles. So basically, if you're coming from, for example, you plan to pass via Yusuf Lule Road and connect to Access Road, probably going to execute whatever you're going to execute, chances are high that you may not be in position to reach in time to execute what you ought to execute. It's very, very congested in there. And of course, officers at the very roundabout there junction are controlling this, that everything moves like the way it ought to move, but it's a very heavy congestion. So whoever is really connecting to that route, probably you're connecting to areas like in Zambia, and you are coming from Bugolobi, and you thought of passing by here to reach a little there faster, you could really need to get another option. This may not be really the right option, as you will be delayed. It's very thick. Since we came on air, even as we are preparing to come on air, that's how it's been. The velocity at which the vehicles are moving is quite too slow. Let me say that. And of course, the officers around here are controlling this. All
right, and of course, you can definitely see a little
now,
bit
away
of-
from that, now look.
Well, of course, and just briefly, a simple observation from that particular one around Ginger Road, as you're actually also heading to Access Road. There's pretty much a lot of things that is actually happening that is around the same area. Well, you can definitely see that the traffic flow at the time is basically quite busy. It does seem so. The border riders, for example, not only the border riders, but also you realize that the people who are actually using taxis, and for those who are actually using their own vehicles, it is business as usual. It's Monday, and this is how you expect the traffic flow to be at in the morning. Quite busy, and it does expect to be really tight later on in the hours that are yet to come, in just a few 1 or 2 hours yet to come. So if you use one of those routes, that means if you're coming in from industrial area, for those who are actually coming in from Zambia, Namuongo, those who come in from Muyenga, then we've got people coming in from Bugolobi, Motungo side, Chireka Boyogere, using the Ginger Road, heading direct to town. And then for those who are actually heading out of town, you get to realize that for those who are actually heading out of town, it's not as busy as that, because most of the road users, or most of the drivers, are basically waking up in the morning to hit town. So for those who are moving out of town, it does not seem to be a busy day, or it does not seem to be tight for you in regards to the traffic flow. It is only very tight for those who are actually getting into town, because it is a Monday. You expect all this madness when in regards to the rush hour. Everyone wants to be at work in time. Most of the people normally who have to be at work by 8 a.m. That does look like at least the time that has been set up for most of the offices within Uganda. It's 8 a.m. So everyone wants to hit their offices by 8 a.m. There are those who actually have to be there before 8, and it all goes back and depends on the kind of job you're doing, or the kind of shift that you're actually starting up. There are those who are supposed to be at work by 6, who are mainly not the majority, because you realize the majority is supposed to be at work by 7. And 8 a.m. does look like the minority, but also having the biggest number of those working, especially in the private sector. But then as we kick start of the day, you should also remember that there's lots of chances and there's lots of opportunities for you to invest. And the other opportunity you've got right now is to invest in securities. And these particular securities are available on the Zabu platform. Speaking of securities, these as well include government bonds, where you can invest with just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings and kickstart off your investment journey with Zabu. Zabu is a platform by Altex East Africa, and it's definitely saying do something new. Well, what something new can you do today? You can choose to invest in government bonds today by using Zabu, obviously, and what all you need to do is register now using your national identification number, and after registration you will be able to invest in government bonds and securities that are available, other securities or other products available on the platform. The markets on this platform do open at 8:15 a.m. and their closing time is 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Please do note that these markets are fully closed over the weekends and open fully closed over the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. And well, of course, you're still watching Smart Means Business. After the break, when I do return, we definitely going to cross over to Caribou, East Africa. Not only that, we shall be looking at the SMB International News to briefly look at what is making headlines away from the African continent and, of course, on the African continent as well. Good morning.